Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. I am so happy to have you guys here. Today we have a fun DIY. We're going to make this fall lantern using items mostly from Dollar Tree. The supplies you need from Dollar Tree will be one of these LED Halloween lanterns, one of these stands with the skull on it. We're also going to use one of these chopping mats you can find in the kitchen section and some of these berries on the vine. We're going to use some fall flowers and one of these Crafter's Square wood circles. It's one of the hanging ones. You'll need one of these napkin rings and a little bit of a bamboo wreath. They sell them in two different sizes. We're also going to use some twine and some antiquing wax from Walmart. From Walmart, we're also going to use some spray paint. I chose to use the Rust-Oleum Smoky Beige, but any color you choose will do. And then from Hobby Lobby, I'm going to use one of these chess pieces. They come in these bags. You get two in a bag for like $2.99. They have floral wire that we're going to need, some scissors, a straight razor, and something to write with. From Joann Fabrics, I picked up this bag of miniature seeds that look like pumpkins, and then we're going to use some fix-all adhesive and a hot glue gun. So let's get crafty. So the first thing you're going to do is take your lantern apart. There's this little tab there. If you slide your finger underneath of the vellum, you can just pop that out and then remove the sides of the handle there. Once that's done, just set that aside and remove this vellum. We're going to hold on to that. That's going to become our pattern that we use to create some faux glass to put back in our lantern. Really easily, this candle comes out, so you want to take that out because we are going to paint this. And then once that's done, we're going to remove the skull off of the stand. You can keep the skull for another project, but we don't need it for this one. So now that we have all of those pieces apart, we're going to go ahead and paint those. So we're painting 4 pieces in all. So I took those outside and I spray painted those with the Rust-Oleum paint. Again, that was the Smoky Beige is the color we're using. And I ended up doing 2 coats of paint, so I didn't want to put a real heavy coat on this. There's a lot of corners and beveled edges here, so I figured I would just do 2 thin coats. That way I could flip it upside down and make sure I get in all the creases and underneath those beveled edges and things. So I did 2 coats of that. So while that was drying, I took that vellum insert from the lantern, I put that on top of that cutting mat and then traced around it with a Sharpie marker. So I'm just going to cut this out with some scissors. This is going to be our faux glass. Now you could use a piece of scrapbooking paper that is the vellum. They sell that. I know for a fact at Hobby Lobby I've seen it pretty cheap. So you can use that if you like. It actually bends a lot easier. It would be easier to use. I did just have this on hand, which is why I chose to use this as the faux glass. So while you're cutting it, you do want to be careful. If you pull too hard, you can tear it. Because it's not real flexible. So then you want to take a straight edge and your razor blade, and you're going to just make some score marks in the corner of each one of these. You just want to follow the pattern on the original insert to score your corners there. So once that's done, what you're going to do is just fold it over and push down just enough that you make a crease, but you don't want to push down so hard that it folds flat. If you do that, it's going to crack. I kind of learned that the hard way when I did a practice one here, because I wasn't sure how this was going to work when I first tried it. I was happy it worked out, but it is a little bit cumbersome to work with, so you do want to be careful that you don't break it. So now folding that little tab over, all you want to do is add some hot glue. Now if you use fix-all adhesive, you're going to need some type of a clip or a paper clip to hold the ends together while they dry for a few hours. But the hot glue holds really nicely, and you don't see it because once you slide this in, it just ends up in the corners. You don't see any of the glue if it gets a little bit messy there. So then just pop that in and then flip it over, and you can pop your candle back inside of the candle from the bottom. And now we can turn it on and off, and there's our faux glass. And I'm real happy with the way that looks so far. So then I just replaced the lid. You do want to be careful. Mine wasn't quite dry all the way yet. I was trying to move the project along. So I did scrape a little bit of the paint off, but actually kind of just looked weathered. So I kind of liked it and left it. So then taking some fix-all adhesive and some hot glue, you just want to glue that wooden piece upside down onto that stand that the skull was on that we had painted. So this makes it a little bit taller. Now taking our napkin ring, we're just going to glue this to the bottom of our lantern using some hot glue. Now this adds a cute metal accent to it, but the purpose of this was I was trying to work out the problem of how was I going to turn this lantern on and off once it was on the base, because the base and the size of the candle were exactly the same size and I didn't want to cover the on-off button. So that just slides over the top. It sits nice and flat. It helps hold it on, and now you can remove the top of it so you can turn your candle on and off. So now taking that bamboo wreath, we're going to just cut it apart and take a few pieces out because we're going to just make a tiny miniature wreath with this, and we're going to use that to slide over the base and put down at the bottom of the lantern stand. So using some of that floral wire, you just want to wrap it around tightly to hold all of those bamboo twigs together to create a miniature wreath. Once that's done, I took the berries on a vine that I purchased from the Dollar Tree, and I just wrapped those in a diagonal pattern all the way around the bamboo wreath that I just created. It helped hold it together, and it created a really cute little fall wreath to put on the bottom of the stand. So I just slid that over that, and if you want to, you can glue it to the bottom, but it's not necessary. Now taking some more of those berries on the vine, I just wrapped that around the stand here all the way down to the bottom in a diagonal pattern. I did glue it to the top of that base there. Now when you do that, you do want to make sure you don't have too much in the way, because you do still have to slide that lantern on and off to be able to turn the candle on and off. So you don't want to put too much in the way. So be careful and make sure before you glue it into place that you can still get the lantern on the stand. So then taking some more of those berries, I wrapped that around the handle at the top, and then just did a diagonal pattern down the side of the lantern. And then once I cut that down, I just had a tiny little piece hanging over, and I tucked that under the napkin ring and put a little dot of hot glue there. So then I took some of the floral that I had from Dollar Tree. I cut some of the leaves down a little bit smaller, and my goal here was to make this look like it was a lantern that was outside and some pumpkin vines had grown up the side of it. So I put some little fall flowers, some leaves, those berries, and then I took a few of those little yellow flowers that I purchased from Dollar Tree. I just pulled those off the stem. I glued those to the vines, and then these adorable little seeds that I got from Joann Fabrics. So they're $9.99 for a whole bag of them. They're in a bunch of different colors, but they come in quite a variety of sizes and shapes there, and they're so cute. And they have them right now, I believe, at 50% off, so you can watch for a sale, and then you get a whole bag of them for about $5. So I just glued some of those pumpkins up the side of the stand, and then put a small twine bow down at the base as well. Then I wanted this to sit just a little bit taller. That's where this wood circle came into play. I just had it here in my craft supplies, so I glued that to the base of the lantern, and it really just kind of finished this project off. I really like it with the base here. I used some of that antiquing wax and a sponge brush just to wipe around the edges there to give it kind of an outdoorsy weathered look, and then I used some of that antiquing wax up the side to make it look like it had been outside for a while and had some weathering to that. I am really happy with how this turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to make this fall lantern using items from the Dollar Tree. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share if you haven't done so already. And here are some other videos from our channel you might also enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.